Today I'm going to paint a little custom keeper. I thought I might do it similar to one of these that I did recently because it's just super simple kind of doodly thing. And I'm using the small A7 mini size white Paintable Custom Keeper. This is made out of PVC vinyl, or sometimes it's called banner material, billboard material. Most of our white ones are made out of new vinyl. We do make them out of used billboards when we get them that have white on them, but rarely do they have enough white to make covers. So, but I know y'all like painting them, so that's why we use the new vinyl for these. When you get your custom keeper, it's probably going to look something like this. And you can take the strings off. These are tied right here. You just pull that to untie it, and see they're not finished off. This is so you can pull the strings out easily and either reverse your cover. You know, if it's a billboard print, you like the other side, you can reverse it, or you can decorate it like we're gonna do. So I'm just gonna set those aside and let's decorate this little guy. I usually paint directly onto my vinyl. You can coat it with gesso. Any kind of paint that you put on this vinyl, it's going to be a little weird because you're basically painting a plastic. So you're going to have some issues with coverage and you know, with it staying put like you would painting on any plastic. But it's not impossible to do. It is possible to do it and do it well. If you like to start with gesso, go ahead, gesso to your heart's content. I usually don't. That's just an extra step that I don't have a need for. You can also, if you want to just kind of rough it up a little bit, I use one of these. These are like those nail block things, or just use a regular sanding block and just kind of rough it up just a little bit. It's not going to do a whole lot, but it will kind of take the shine off and make your paint stay down a little bit better. So either option is perfectly fine. And I think what I'm going to do is just use a graphite stick. This is a water-soluble graphite stick that I don't know where I got, but you know, it's just graphite sticks. You can find them at art supply stores, craft stores. They're not expensive. You can use a pencil, use whatever you want. I like this because if I make a huge mistake, I can just wet it and it'll rub off fairly easily. So let's just make some swirlies. See, I've already changed my mind. Come back here. Add some water, wipe it off. There we go. That one's weird. And okay, we'll do like that. So I've basically just got these little bubbles coming off of the edges. Those are what I'm going to paint. And then this middle part, I think I'll do it black. That's what I did with the other one. I really like the way that one turned out. So that is what I'm going to do. And I think I'm going to start with the colors, and then I'll do the black after the colors. And the colors I've chosen, I've got these kind of shades of turquoise and teal and mint. I've got okay, they're different brands. This is, I've got a yellow too, just in case. This is Deco Art Crafters Acrylic in Daffodil Yellow. Another Crafters Acrylic in Dark Turquoise. A Deco Art Americana in Teal Mint, Americana Sea Breeze, and Desert Turquoise. And then an Apple Barrel Bimini Blue. This is one of my favorite blues. I have several bottles of that one. I just really like the mini blue. These are all very inexpensive craft store paints, nothing fancy. And I'm just going to paint them on. How many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, look at that. 6 blobs. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. I didn't. Alright. So, I'm going to squeeze this out over here off to the side just a little bit. And it is not unusual to have to do more than one coat on here, just depending on the quality of the paint, how it covers. And for whatever reason, I find that some of the neon paints, you know, like the DecoArt neon paints that I love, they don't do well on this vinyl. The coverage is just real splotchy. And I had like 2 different brands or 2 different types of whatever it is I'm trying to say, neon paint, and they both were weird and splotchy. Now your paint will pick up that I've lost my train of thought again. I'm doing a load of laundry. I'm washing sheets, and I'm kind of listening in the background to see if the cycle's done. I think I need to focus on one thing here. Okay. Your paint will pick up the graphite that you've put down, so be careful not to smudge it. When I go in with the black in the middle, I'll go over it, and then that will completely get rid of it. So, you know, that's not a big deal, but like doing the yellow over it, yeah, you can smudge, so be careful with that. Okay, clean off my brush. And I will probably add a second coat to that. It covered fairly well, but it's not complete. So yeah, I'll go in and do that one again. Now, let's just do this one next. Dark turquoise. I'll have to put these in the order that I do them because I'm going to forget which is which. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to do it here. Same thing. Just go around the edge. Don't really want to pick up that graphite stick. And see, this one you can also see is going to need a second coat. Which, if you put gesso down first, you know, sometimes you can eliminate that because you've got a good base, a good ground to work on. I'm just lazy and I don't like using gesso unless I absolutely have to. If I'm gonna, you know, prime a canvas, yes, I'll use gesso. But on paper and other stuff, I don't usually bother. I'll just go au naturel and see what happens. Now when we're through here, I will show you how I seal these. Again, you're painting on a plastic. If you dig your fingernail into the dry paint, you can peel it right off, even after you've sealed it in some cases. But I will show you what I do that works pretty well as far as sealing your work and protecting it from average wear and tear. You know, throwing it in your purse, carrying it with you, it's fine. If you intentionally try to peel the paint off, well, heck yeah, you're going to peel it. But just for a regular wear and tear, I have a little trick that I do that I'll tell you about. And I also want to tell you about a sale in my Etsy shop going on right now. We are like fully stocked on these Paintable Custom Keepers, which is sort of rare. Because I mean, like, we're fully stocked in 8 sizes. Even the big composition and A4, those are like the unicorns of the Custom Keeper. we don't make them very often because they're really too big for our equipment to handle. It's kind of a beast to make the larger sizes. So we don't do them often. But right now we do have paintables, all sizes, in stock. And I'll give you, at the end of the video, a coupon code to get a little discount, 15% off. You enter the code when you check out at the Etsy shop. And I'll have a link to the shop below in my video description. It's easy to find, even if you don't have the link. It's by Shannon Green, you know. Not difficult. Anyway, you can get you some covers to paint at a discount. And this is a short sale. It's just good for this weekend. So it's good through Monday the 8th. The end of the day, Monday the 8th. And I think I'm also going to give away maybe a gift with purchase for every purchase. Usually I just do, like, if you order $50 or more, I try to throw in a little something. Lately it's been bookmarks. I've been making bookmarks out of billboards. And I think what I'm going to do is during the sale, just to kind of say thanks for taking advantage of the sale, I'm going to give everyone who orders during the sale a free bookmark. So, what do you think about that? I love giving stuff away. It's just, I don't always have the time to make extra little things to give away, you know? Like in the beginning, I was giving away a little art tile, a little handmade art tile with every order, and I love doing that. But man, you know, it got to where we were getting so many orders, which is a good thing, not complaining, but I couldn't keep up. So yeah, I can't do that anymore. I think probably 2 coats on all of these is going to be perfect. Okay, now I'm going to let these dry. Actually, I'm probably going to speed them up with my heat gun a little bit. Then just do a second coat over them, and then I'll show you what comes next. I believe my 2 coats are dry. Now, before I go in, I'm going to do black in this other area. Before I do that, I'm going to show you a little tip. If you get a custom keeper and on the edge you've got some hair, I don't know if you can really see what I'm talking about, but see there's kind of those little fine hairs. That's normal. That's part of the vinyl. This PVC vinyl is made out of a polyester scrim, which is like a woven polyester fabric, and then they pour the PVC plastic over the top and bottom of the scrim, and that sandwich is what makes the vinyl. So when you cut it, you sometimes get little hairs from the scrim that come out like this, and if that happens, just take a lighter and I doubt you can see this, but you're just going to have to trust me, it works. Take a lighter and just singe them off. That will just eliminate the problem for you. If there's a little wad left, just pick it off. There you go. So yeah, don't worry about the little hairiness on the edge. Just use a lighter. And just, it won't hurt the vinyl. The lighter doesn't hurt the vinyl, and it'll melt the little hairs off of there. FYI. Okay, now I'm going to go in with some black acrylic craft paint, just the super cheap Anita's all-purpose acrylic. You can get it at the Hobby Lobby I got it for $5. I've had it for a while, but you know, it's cheap. And it will do the job. I'm going to just squeeze a little out, and I may need 1 coat, I may need 2, I don't know, I'll decide as I go. And then I'm just going to go in and do this little other section, and I'm going to cover, so I'm going to make nice edges around my loops. This is where I cover up any, you know, if I got out of the lines, this covers it up. That's why I like to do this, you know, do these colored blobs and then put black in between, because it's so forgiving. You know, you can just kind of fix whatever went wrong with the black and no one will know. So yeah, try that trick. Especially if you're unsure about your doodling, you just don't feel like things went the way you want. You can, when you go in with the black, you can kind of correct it. And if you use higher quality paint, you know, instead of a craft paint, you use like an artist quality tube paint, then you don't run into as much of an issue with having to do more than one coat, especially if you use gesso. But like I said, that's just not a big deal for me. I like the action of putting paint onto a something. So if I have to do 2 or 3 coats, I'm fine with that because I enjoy it. And black, I don't know, it might just take one. It's looking pretty good. I'll decide when I get done. Really can't tell until it's dry. And then I'm probably going to go in and do something with some paint pens like I did on those other ones. I just don't know. So many options. And I don't worry about the backside at this point. I have found through trial and error that it's very difficult to decorate both sides of your custom keeper if you're painting like this. It's not so bad if you're just going to collage on them. But to paint like this, doing anything two-sided is a challenge because you almost always get goobers on the other side. So, you know, not a big deal here, but now if I flip it over to do this one and I get a goober on my finished side, I'm not going to be happy. So for that reason, rarely do I decorate both sides. I usually just do one, and then on the other side I'll do a solid color. Like this one, I'll do solid black. And that way I can cover up whatever goobers I've got going on over there. And since I'm just doing black, I can be really careful about, it's really the holes and the edges. Seeping through the holes and seeping around the edges is what you need to watch for. But if you do a solid color, you can kind of, you have a lot of control because you're not thinking about your design, you're thinking about protecting your edges. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to keep doing this. I won't make you watch because it's just more of the same. Alrighty now, this is mostly dry. You can use your heat gun to speed up the drying. It will not hurt your vinyl at all. In fact, sometimes you might need to heat it a little bit. If maybe during shipping, if it gets warm and then cools in a funky way, like you get it and it's bent and you know you can't really straighten it out, all you have to do is heat it. You can use a heat tool or you can use even like a hair dryer and then let it cool, flattened out like you want it, and then when it cools it'll stay that way. So sometimes I ship them flat, sometimes I ship them folded, just, you know, depends on what all else is in the order. But if it's folded and it gets folded wonky and it's creased in the mail, warm it up, position it in the way you want it, and let it cool in that position, and it'll stay. It's like it knows. Okay, so yeah, this is dry. I'm going to use some Posca paint pens, I think, to do something here. And I'm thinking it might be just maybe put a line. This is the Fat Posca Uni 1.8 to 2.5 millimeter. What does that mean? 5M. There it is. PC 5M. That's the kind of the fat Posca, but not the super fat one. Make sure we're primed and ready to go. I don't know, looks a little watery to me. That's better. Okay. I'm just going to make a line, outline everything. If you pick your pen up and then set it back down, you don't want to set it back down right where you left off. You want to go back here a little bit, set it down, and then continue on, and that way it's smooth and you can't tell where you've picked it up. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Okay, what I did right here, I kind of had a wiggly line, and then to fix it I just went in and colored in and made it thicker. And I think I've decided I kind of like the thicker look. So I'm going to go back around and kind of thicken up the lines. Because, yeah, that was just kind of an accident. And in trying to fix it, I found something I like better. Well, I thought I was recording, but apparently I wasn't. We had a real nice talk while the recorder was off. I've decided to use my black Posca PC1M to just make a line on the inside of my thickened white lines that I just finished. And I don't know, this is just 'cause just adds a little definition and interest. My lines aren't exactly smooth because I don't really draw smooth. That's alright. This is for fun, right? So that's what I'm going to do, is just take this and do an inner line around each one. Okay, I really like that. Now I need to make dots because it's just what I do. I think I'm going to do, I really liked this one, the big dot and then some little dots in between. Maybe I'll do that. And I'll do it in black and just do like that. I don't know how far apart these are. I'm just eyeballing it, and that's alright. My dots are not completely round because my nib's a little hairy. Yeah. Hairy nibs, that's just a universal problem, is it not? I think it is. Now I'm just going around putting two of these little fine tip dots in between each hairy nib dot. This kind of gives you a little something more to look at. And they're not perfect, they're not even. This is basically a doodle. So, you know, we don't have to have perfect, even, whatever. Oh, I like that. It looks like a meandering stream or something under a microscope. I don't know. It's very cool. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to probably use my heat gun, dry this really good, and then I'm going to paint the back solid black. This solid black, just being real careful around the holes and the edges not to seep through. And then I'm going to spray both sides with a sealer. And I will probably use, I didn't mean to move my whole table. I have a couple. I use this one from Krylon, Camar varnish. I don't know how you say that. This one is good. And I use sometimes this one. Helmar's crystal coat, matte, or I think they have a gloss. These are both good. Any really kind of spray varnish, it doesn't have to be a fancy art one. It can just be a craft varnish, you know, or hardware store, whatever. Just a spray sealer, a thin even coat on both sides. And then after that, I do a brush on varnish, and I'll show you the brush on varnish. But right now, I'm gonna go off camera and paint this black, and then give these a quick spray and let everything dry good. We are almost finished. I painted the back side black, and then sprayed both sides with just a thin, even coat of this Helmar varnish. And before I did that, I went along the edges here with just a Sharpie, just like this, just to cover that white edge all the way around, and that just makes it look more finished and neat. And then I just noticed a second ago that I did get a little bit of a black blob right next to this hole right there. Yeah, it's so small I'm not going to worry about it. So there we have it. Now all that's left is varnish. You can use just the spray sealer or just the varnish. Here's the reason that I use both. Sometimes a varnish will pick up some of the paint that you use, depending on what kind of varnish you're using and what kind of paint you have. On one of the last ones I did, this one, I used this clear, it wasn't a varnish, it was just a clear craft paint that had glitter in it. And it picked up the Posca pens and smeared them. It was kind of a nightmare to do this because it was a brush on paint. So I had to like brush it so carefully and wipe my brush off because it picked up just the Posca. It didn't pick up any of the other acrylic, which was bizarre. But okay, that's a possibility. It wasn't the Minwax varnish that did that. It was like a DecoArt brand. It was Craft Twinkles or something. Anyway, I thought it was just a clear acrylic craft paint with glitter in it, but there's something else in there that reacted with the Posca pens. So the spray varnish, just kind of make sure that everything stays put when you put your brush on varnish on there. And it's just an extra layer of protection. You can do either or, you don't have to do both together, but if you really want, you know, good protection, do both. Because with the spray on varnish, if I raked my fingernails across here, I could scrape this off. I could do that with the brush on varnish too, but it would take more of an effort. So that's why using both just gives you a little bit extra protection. So I'm using, this is Minwax polycrylic varnish. Clear satin is my favorite. I'm not exactly sure if this is all clear satin because I put it in this jar like this because this is easier for me to handle than this thing. And sometimes I'll have like a tiny bit of gloss left in there, and then I'll just add the clear satin on top. So I don't know. I have a polluted mix of who knows what kind of finishes, but it's all good. So I'm just going to go in and just do a light coat of this varnish. I want to make sure that I'm coating evenly, but I don't need a whole lot. Light is good enough. Don't blob it up in the holes, as I am prone to do. Okay, that's all there is to it. Let's check the back. Okay, see I've got some blobs back here. I just want to smooth out those blobs because I don't need dimensional blobs. There we go. This dries super fast because it's a thin coat. I'm going to do this whole side anyway. But now I can let this dry. And then as soon as this is dry, I'll cut the other side and then we'll restring this puppy. Now this has a beautiful, durable finish on it, front and back, and all that's left is the stringing. So I'm going to take my string and a little piece of craft wire. I use this as my needle to sew with. Start on the inside in the middle hole, and you go down through the middle. By the way, I did not Sharpie the insides of these holes like I did the edges, because if you run a white elastic through it, just rubbing against the Sharpie, the black gets on the elastic. So if you've got black elastic, not a big deal, but on white elastic, yeah, I've learned, don't Sharpie inside the holes. Come back up through the side and then go straight down the one right across from it, up through the middle, go straight down the one right across from it. You have to kind of move the original tail to the side to get down there. Pull them taut but not tight. And then through the next door neighbor, down through the one across from it, and then you end back up through the middle. Just like that. Check to see if the tension's like you want it, and then you can tie these off in a square knot. Okay, this one goes over that one, so it comes out the bottom and leaves this one on the top. So now take the top one and go over the bottom one. Or left over right, right over left, you know, whatever works for you. This, you know, top to the top works for me. I can cut this off and then heat the edges to keep them from unraveling if I want to. And then the spine closure, you just wiggle it back through the hole. You can use your little wire if you want. I usually don't need to. Maybe today I need to. Clearly I do. My vinyl is really soft from heating it to dry. It's funny that because these are very, they conduct heat like crazy, which if you heat yours to dry it, you need to be very careful because you can totally burn your fingers on it. It gets hot and stays hot. So, and then when they're warm, they get nice and soft, and then when it's cold, they get really stiff. And this is why it's really hard for us to work with vinyl when the weather's cold outside, because it's all super stiff. Okay, there we have it. Oh, cute little mini notebook cover. I hope that some of you, I've heard from a lot of people who have bought cover after cover after cover and not painted a single one because you're scared to. Okay, I hope this will help alleviate some of that. If it doesn't, maybe this will. This is a piece of scrap. And by the way, if you ever need a scrap to practice on, like you're ordering some paintable covers and you've not painted them before and you would like, you know, just a scrap to practice on, just tell me in Etsy in the, you know, little say something to the seller box or whatever it's called. Just say, hey, could you include a piece of scrap so I can practice painting on it? And I will be happy to do that free of charge because we always have plenty of scrap to share. And that way you can practice with your different paints and see what they'll do on there. I'm more than happy to send scrap with an order. Let's say you start painting and you're like, oh my God, I've totally messed this up. I've screwed it up. There is no saving it. There's always saving it. A little alcohol, rubbing alcohol. Mine's 91%, but doesn't matter. You can use a lesser percent. It just might take some more rubbing. This is also, could be called surgical spirits depending on where you live. But it's good for removing acrylic paint off of vinyl. This is just acrylic craft paint. I'm going to put some of this alcohol on a cotton ball. In real life, I'd probably just pour it on here, but, you know, I'm trying to be all neat and tidy. Just let it kind of soak in good, and it will rub away. Some of this is fabric paint, that I was practicing with, so it does not rub away as well, but all of the acrylic paint is rubbing right off. Now sometimes it will leave a stain, like it'll be stained in the whatever color that you're removing. It'll leave like a little shadow, but that's okay because it's usually easy to paint over. So yeah, apply the rubbing alcohol, let it soak a minute, and then rub it off, wipe it off really good, and you can kind of get a whole do-over without hurting the vinyl. Here we go. The alcohol won't hurt the vinyl in any way, and see, you can just get a whole nother blank canvas. Speaking of which, this is not something you can do with canvas or with paper, and I'm seeing it's really not, oh yeah, I guess it is removing. This is fabric paint, I remember that specifically. Oh yeah, it'll remove it, it just takes more effort. So yeah, of course there's always gesso, but you want to be careful about building up thick layers on a pliable surface, and especially one that's plastic, because you don't want them to peel. Thin, even layers are much better no matter what you're putting down here. So building up a bunch of layers of gesso and paint, probably not a good idea and not necessary when just a little rubbing alcohol that most of us probably have in their medicine cabinet will do the trick. So don't be afraid about messing up your covers. There is a way for a do-over. Okay, I said I'm going to give you the discount code for the sale. It is YouTube 15, all one word. Write that or tap that in at the when you check out of my Etsy shop, which is by Shannon Green, all one word, and you will get 15% off your order of Paintable Custom Keeper covers. It's only good on the paintables. And like I said, right now we are fully stocked in all sizes. It's as good until Monday, April, I don't know, what is Monday? The 8th? It's good through the 8th, like the end of the day on the 8th. So you can get 15% off your order. So, lots of incentives to try the Paintable Custom Keepers, and if you already have them, to actually paint your keeper. And you can see that it's not difficult. It's like painting pretty much anything else. You just want to be cautious about keeping your layers thin and even, and then protecting it with a varnish or sealer or something. So that is all I have. I hope you enjoyed this. The end.